I started work on a new game, and this game is mostly built on a level generator that takes care of almost everything in that game. So I figured it was a great time to do a new tech talk on level generators, random, procedural, interesting level generators. Let's go. Alright, so for my new game I created a level generator, and it pretty much takes care of placing everything in that world. So as a level designer I only create certain aspects of the game, but then the level generator fills it in based on code and rules. How does it work? Let's say this is our tile map. And if you don't know what a tile map is, you're probably watching the wrong video. Google for it, figure out how it works, what it is, and come back to this one. So this is the whole tile map. And this is that whole tile map split into blocks. Let's say every block is about 10 by 10 tiles. And these blocks are designed, but the placement of these blocks is not designed. That's where the fun comes in. So even though this is all randomly going to be filled, there are a couple of block templates that I as a designer design first, and those are being placed in the level. So there are a couple of different blocks that we can use to fill this map. The first one is a normal room, which has an exit on the left and on the right, which means you can walk through it horizontally, and everything else is free. Just make sure that these exits are available for the player and always reachable within that block. The second block is the same, but it also has an exit at the bottom, which means the player can still go from left to right, but also has to be able to drop down into the room below or the block below. The third block has an exit on the left side and on the right side and on the upside, which means it can actually go from left to right, and you have to be able to climb upwards into the block above it. And the final block that is really required to create a good working level has exits on all four sides. So it's like a cross point where everything meets and comes together, and you just have to design it in such a way that the player can get up to the block above, but also drop down and go to the left and the right. And those blocks are what make up a level. There are a few other blocks, but I'll get to that in a bit. First, let's see how a level generator creates a level. So what the level generator does is it starts at one of the top blocks, and it sets a type 1 room. So that's horizontally left, right exits, nothing else. That's where the player is going to start. And from there, the level generator starts creating a random path downward. So we're going to pick either left, right, or down. And based on the direction, if we start moving down, it has to be a second block, which means we have an exit at the bottom. And that obviously means that the block beneath us either is a 3 or a 4 because it has that opening at the top. So with those random numbers, we just move from left, right, down until we reach the bottom of the tile map. That leaves a lot of blocks unused, and those are filled with a new block type, which is pretty much anything goes. It's not required for the player to actually get there or move there or be able to move there. So it can have walls on all directions and edges. It can also have openings. It can be a fully open space. It doesn't matter. It's all random and not part of the path. There is a safe path for the player to traverse this level from top to bottom. Everything else is just extra and bonus material. For even more randomness, every block can also be flipped horizontally or mirrored if you like, so that the left side is on the right side and the right side on the left side. This can be done to all the blocks, and it doesn't really hurt anything, just as long as those exits are always at the center at the right positions. And for even more control, you can actually make certain blocks have a certain spawn rate. So in my case, I have blocks that are 50-50 to spawn. There are blocks that are 33% that they spawn. And the level generator just randomly picks a template, and then it decides, should I be spawning the 50-50? If not, remove all blocks that have 50-50 chance, and the same for the 33%. And that way, every template has actually 3 or 4 variations. So with all those random tweaks, you can make the level look so random and so weird and different every time you play it. And of course, the more blocks you create or design, the more randomness is gonna happen and the more variations gonna happen in every level. And that's really why I like this method of creating random levels. But I wanted more randomness in my levels, so I created a tile set and then made 2 other variations of that same tile set, so that you have a lot more randomness, and the level generator will skin all these tiles, making it look good on the edges, and then randomly picks between those 3, so there's even more variation there. And then I came up with adding growth and dirt and snow, and all those things had to look good and make sense in a way. So what my level generator does is it has a sun at the top of the tile map, which has a certain heat, and that heat will lower the deeper you go into the tile map. Based on that heat, we're gonna add growth to the level, which is all the green stuff on the tiles. And if it's very hot and very warm up there, there's going to be a lot of dirt and not a lot of growth because it has died off by then. And if you get deeper into the cave, it's going to be cold, so there's going to be snow and not a lot of green stuff and not a lot of dirt. It's going to be stones and snow mostly. And the level generator pretty much does that based on temperature. And the speed at which the temperature drops as you go deeper into the tile map is also a random number. So it might be that the second block down is already covered in snow because the temperature drops very quickly. Or it could be a very hot and warm planet and there might just be a lot of green down there as well because the temperature is hardly dropping when you go deeper into the cave. It's all randomness and it adds for a lot of variation in my levels. And I've been adding more and more to these little rules. So for now, the level editor can also place waterfalls or the top of a waterfall. And the level generator will then decide if it places the waterfall. And if it does, it will calculate where the bottom is. If that has a sort of pool or basin-like structure, it might actually fill it up with water as a pool. And if there's a pool, there might be fish being generated there, and depending on how deep in the tile map you are, there might be a more rare fish at the bottom or bigger fish at the bottom, and things like that are all based on little rules and effects and all caused by how much temperature is there and the structure of the levels. And if there's a lot of water, there can also be rocks there because rocks apparently get shaped by water. I had to Google this. And so now I'm placing rocks near a bunch of water. If there's a lot of water, there are going to be a lot of rocks and big rocks. If there's just a little bit of water, there could be tiny little rocks and not a lot of them, just a few. So all these rules and all these things are generating a completely random world every time you play the game. And based on a certain settings at the top of the level or at the start of the level, things happen down there. And even for me, it's interesting because every time I play, I notice certain combinations and things that just look pretty and look very cool, and I could have designed it better. So that's how this level generator is working. I'm gonna do a couple of more tech talks on this game because I have very tiny things as well, like how is water moving, how does that all work, and how does the fire work and the light system and things like that. I'm gonna do a couple more tech talks. If you have questions on whatever you see here or whatever I talked about, let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'll do a follow-up video. And if it's all clear, go create your own level generator because it's a lot of fun to work on. Hope this was informative for all those people asking how randomness and random level generators work. This was one of the examples. There are many other ways to do it, but this one works pretty well. So, bye.